Okay, third time is a charm. This is like the third time me recording this intro because I keep getting a bit flustered and upset talking about it. It sounds really bizarre. This is just a craft video. For those that don't know, I'm trying to pre-record a lot of videos in the month of January 2024. That's when I'm recording this. Hello from the past. And I'm trying to pre-record a load of videos so that I have a couple of months off at some point in the year because I'm trying to get a book published this year. That's a bit of backstory if anyone is new or needs a bit of a reminder. So this isn't really it's not really a deep story per se, but it just got me a bit emotional. Don't know why. So a long time ago, I was about 17. On my 17th birthday, I had a multitude of panic attacks on my 17th birthday because of certain situations, which I'm not going to get into here. It'll be in one of my books one day. Not the one I'm going to get published this year because when I write it, I cry every time I write it, and I can't get all that done in 1 year. I need like a week-long break after writing every chapter, paragraph, sentence, word. So anyway, where was I up to with my story? On my 17th birthday, I had a multitude of panic attacks, and since that day, I wasn't fine up until that day, but I was attending college. Which I was and ahhing about anyway because I did art, right? Backstory of a backstory. I did art, right? Because I've always loved art. I've always loved expressing myself in art. And so when my high school, in British high schools you have something called sixth form where you can like carry on high school till you're 18 really, because we finish at 16. And I went to sixth form for 3 hours until I was bullied out. Thanks, guys. So I was like, well, that's not going to work out. I'm not just going to sit on my bum all day. So I was 16. This was before I had my blog. This was before I had my old blog, which I had like 5,000 followers on. This was before this website. This was before I did YouTube. This was before anything. I did anything online. I didn't do anything online at this point. Now, my work is online. Everything I do is online. But I digress. So I was like, well, I'm not going to just sit on my bum all day, so I will go to college. And the only thing I actually really enjoyed doing at that time was either writing or art or photography. I've always enjoyed photography. But I couldn't do a photography course because that was only for A-levels, which is, for people not in England, your A-levels are like above GCSEs. But something to note, I failed all my high school exams, all my GCSEs, because people are idiots, and I have autism, and I had a lot of requirements for my exams. I needed like extra time, a separate room, and they weren't met. I was told in all my exam plans, we all had like exam plan sheets which were like catering to the needs of students, a legal sort of document that you'd need to make sure every student has the best chance of passing their exams. And in that, it stated any, challenges I might have, any, my autism, anxieties, which I've had my whole life. It said things like, Alex needs extra time. Alex can't be in a room, but there's some exams you do have to be in the room with everybody. And they said, in those cases, can you sit Alex at the back because she has anxiety about feeling like everyone is watching her if she's sat at the front. Which I should be sat at the back anyway because my last name is quite far into, it's like the last couple of letters of the dictionary. The dictionary? All right, Alex, we can tell it's like 10 a.m. The alphabet, okay? So I should be sat at the back anyway because you are meant to be in alphabetical order, but no, it looks like they took the plan and did everything opposite. I was never once allowed my own room. I was never once allowed my extra time, and I was too anxious to ask. That's why these things are put in place, because I would not be someone to confront these people and be like, no, I need this. I couldn't do that back then. Probably now, yeah, I'd be like, give it to me or I'm walking out. You give me, because I found my voice as I became older and I left the school, the very toxic school setting. I get that, but we're talking about a very 16-year-old timid Alex. I looked and sounded and acted nothing like how I look and sound and act now. It looked like they took it and did everything opposite. They sat me at the very front. Now, when I say the very front, so in British exam halls, We don't do them in classrooms like a lot of like people in America, and I don't know about Australia. I don't know. I've never really looked into the school. Weirdly, because you don't really see it on TV, you kind of see it more on TV in America. And obviously I lived in England, so they're the only two I've got really to compare. This is going on a long tangent, isn't it? But like I need to bulk out this video with something, so it's not just me doing artwork all the time, because I am not a crafting channel. So we have like a hall, like we'd use a gym hall kind of thing, and we'd put single seats and single tables. Anyone in the UK, they're like, yep, that's how it's done. Single seats, single tables, about 3 feet apart from each other. I don't know, that's just a very rough comparison. So you can't cheat. So you can't cheat off someone else, you know? You can walk. The invigilators, which are the people that come in, like the third parties that come in, we don't know these people. We've never seen these people before in our life. Come in from the exam board, like this highly secretive sort of exam board. They come in and they're called invigilators, and they just walk around, make sure none of us are using our phones. Or we have to usually put our phones, like some of us had to put phones in boxes. Some of them we had to take our blazers off. I was watching this video by, there's an American that lives in the UK. His name is Evan. I can't pronounce your name, my dude. I'm sorry. Evan Edfinger. Edfinger. He's a YouTuber. He lives in America. He's from America. Lives in England now. Lives in London. Evan Edfinger. Something like that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering your name. But he did a British. He's done like all the British exams on his channel, right? And loads of people are like, oh my God, you'd get no marks for that because you put an X in like terms of algebra instead of a curly X. And that's true. That's how strict British exams are. You know, we're not allowed the labels on water bottles when we're doing an exam. The water bottle has to be clear, like we're going through some sort of airport security. The water bottle has to be clear, and we can't have like the label on it in case we write our answers in the label. Like, so that's the kind of level of strictness we're talking about in these exams. Kind of military level, hush hush. Like you sit, you look at the front, you do not answer questions, you do not ask questions, etc, etc. That's how they're kind of portraying it. And I was petrified of them. And I there were certain people that did get their own rooms when that was applicable. I had a friend who had not long moved from Thailand to England, literally in the middle of the exams, like poor kid. And I was quite good friends with him because we were together a lot. So he had his own room, but I didn't. But it was on my plan. It wasn't me just being awkward. Anyway, so I failed all my GCSEs because of that. Any exam-based GCSE, I should say. But I passed art. I did a graphic design course, and I passed it with flying colours because there was no exam. No, like, exam. You could do the exam in the classroom or at home or anywhere, really. It was just the product that they wanted. It was just what we had to make cake boxes or something like that. It was really fun. It was like the funnest thing I'd ever done, and I loved it. So I passed that and I passed science. And now you can tell why I did those two things in college. But science, we didn't have exams for because I did a certain type of science where it was all assessment-based, which assessments are different from exams for those not in England. Assessments are more like, you can do them at home, you can do them anywhere really, and that's what you're marked on. But again, they are quite strict, but they're not like exam board level strict because it's not an exam board. I think it's the teacher marking them or someone a little bit higher than the teacher, but it's definitely not like AQA or X. It might be, I don't know, but it didn't seem that big of a deal when I was in school. So I loved art, right? We're getting back onto the story now, just a bit of a backstory. I loved art. And I loved writing, and I really, really wanted to do journalism. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor for a while, and then when I realised, no, I've got anxiety, I was like, well, I want to be a journalist. Like, what's his name? Louis Theroux? The Louis dude that's on Netflix. Like, the one that does, what's it called? The dark documentary thing? I don't know. But I wanted to be like him. I don't know why I loved him as a kid. I just did. I did. And I wanted to travel and write was all I wanted to do, really. Less interviewee based and more writey based, but I digress. That's That's who I loved, that's who I looked up to. And that was all I wanted. Photography, writing, travel. Seemed like the perfect combination. That was all I wanted for my life. To go to Australia and do all that. Live in a van. Live in a van was a big thing as well. I wanted to live in a van and do this. So I could work remotely. I had it all planned. I had it all planned until the school ruined it all for me. So because I passed my English literature with most of it A star. Most of it A star. Different assessments, different all that, because I don't think there was an English literature exam. There might have been, but it was very, very coursework based. It was very assessment based, so it wasn't, even if you didn't do well. I don't think I did very well on the exam, and I think that's what might have pushed my level, but I still passed it with flying colours pretty much. But I failed my English language, which is all exam based. You get an English language paper put in front of you, and it's all about punctuation, full stops. And I'm great at that. I'm a published poet, a multi-award winning published poet. I'm pointing to all my awards on my wall. But no, I can't spell for toffee is one thing, but I'm good with punctuation and grammar. Like, I am a bit of one of those people. No, it's actually spelled your, like, Y-O-U-R-E apostrophe. You spelt it. I'm one of those annoying people. But I've had to learn to bite my tongue because it really annoys some people. Anyway, I failed my English language with, like, I got like an E, like, which is like just below an F, but like A, B, C, D, E, F. Don't even know the alphabet. No wonder why I failed. So any dream, you had to have a B or more to do this specific creative writing course I wanted to do in a sixth form college, which is in between, after the 3 hours I spent in my sixth form in my local high school that I'd spent why my mum wanted me to go there. Best the devil you know, she said, even though I was bullied there for my whole life. Best the devil you know. And it's not though, was it? Because I lasted 3 hours there. Anyway, so after that I was going to go and do a creative writing course in a sixth form college, which again, is in between. It's kind of got the leniency of a college, but it's got the structure of a sixth form. You still do your A levels there. And I wanted to go and do my A level creative writing. No, we went there and they wouldn't let me because I had to have a B, and I didn't have a B, I had an E, but I had everything else that I needed, but no. And I was heartbroken because this was all I wanted to do. What was I studying? What was I planning on studying in the sixth form? Photography, I think, in the original sixth form. Photography and psychology, I think, which psychology is another one I'm quite deeply into. For obvious reasons. I want to understand my brain. Wouldn't anyone? So I was kind of sat there then. I remember crying my eyes out, and I had a cat at the time called Jesse. I might have a picture of me and him together. I'll put it here. So I remember just sitting on the sofa, and Jessie just came and just lied on me. And for those who don't know, cats are really good for panic attacks. They like lower your heart rate, or they're known to. I don't know. And so he was just laying on my chest like he knew I was sad. And I miss him. I don't know what happened to him. He went missing years and years and years ago. I was like, so it was in the bad patch that we're gonna get into. And my mum said, why didn't you go to just a college? Which is actually down the road from where I live now in my apartment. I mean, I live in the same town as my college. I went to two different colleges. One was in the town my sister lives in, which is not even in this county, which is a trek. It was a trek to get to. 3 trains if I wanted to get the train, and then a mad walk. All to do art again. Didn't work out because of this. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to go to this college. They don't do any sort of creative writing course because a college, you don't really do A levels. You do like levels 2, which is GCSE, and level 3, which is A level. But I had to do level 2 because, again, I didn't have enough things to do a level 3. I didn't have the C plus that I need, or the C's that I needed in maths and English to be able to do level 3/A level art, which was annoying because I felt like I'm now going to be stuck doing this stupid level 2 thing, like repeating what I just did the year prior, which I passed. Like, I passed my art GCSE, and now I've got to like redo it. It's a pain. The whole British exam sort of high school, everything just needs to be scrapped and redone. It does, because it's not working the way it is. It fails a lot of people. That's not what this video is about though. It's not. So I love art, and I find art so calming to me. I can just put on my music, put on my TV shows, put on my thing. If I'm in class, because we didn't have to, that was the thing with college, you don't have to do your work in the class. You can go home if you really want to. They try and edge you to stay in, they do. And for the first year, they do try and make you stay in. But, no. So, it was chill. Like, don't get me wrong, the class was chill. This is a mad tangent for something that I'm just doing some colouring. But I'm in a talkative mood, so. The one problem I had with it though was you go to college or school or whatever you go to be taught how to do things, right? You can't really be taught art. You can't. You either have an eye for it. In my opinion, this is all my opinion. Don't shout at me. But I don't believe you can be taught how to draw. You can be taught how to cut in a neat line when you're a kid. You can be taught certain elements of art, but you can't be taught art. You can't be taught how to have an artistic eye. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. And the problem that they were having with me was I wanted to do things in a very certain way. I wanted to do things the way that I like to do things, because that was the way that I express art. You know, that sounds really dodgy. No, I just didn't want to do all these stupid little things that they would do with sellotape, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't. And so me and the teacher, we'll call her Emily, quite close to her name, we'll call her Emily. We clashed over my relationship. Was a big one for her. She didn't like my relationship. She was dodgy, right? I'm just going to get into it now. She was dodgy. She just did not like me. At the time, right, this is a story enough. At the time, not many people know this about me, but I was trans for a lot of my childhood and for all my teenage years and for a lot of my early 20s as well. I'm nearly 25. I'm 25. It's February now. It's actually not January. It's the 1st of February today, so white rabbits to everyone. I'm 25 next month. I was trans right from like late childhood right the way through until I was about 21. I identified as a guy. It's a bit hard to think considering I'm like wearing a skirt and everything now. Like, it was a pretty long phase. I've even got a book published about it, like a poem published and a book about it. This is not to get political. This is not to get political, but I really think it was just a very, very long phase. I do not associate myself as a guy at all. There is not one day where I wake up now. I literally did. If any parents of or anyone of the transgender community watch this, especially parents of transgender children, I don't want you to think or to steer away from getting your child any sort of a help or assistance in a gender clinic from knowing that I detransitioned after so many years of being trans. This has gone into a completely political side topic now. I couldn't tell at that point that I was going through a phase. I was adamant that I was a boy. I was adamant about it. And I wasn't. One day, I was 21. I was living in Manchester with a friend, just staying there for a bit, because I lived with my parents at the time, and I was just getting bored of them, as you would at age 21. And I was like, I don't think I'm a boy. And I completely got rid of all my boys' clothes. I still have like some hoodies and some gender neutral stuff, and everything. I was living as a guy for years. Guys, everything, guys. Tops, underwear, whatever it was. I had a lot of my letters say he, him. My legal, I took off the miss from my legal thing, and I didn't want to change it to Mr. for some reason, so it's Mix MX. I'm happy with it being that. I don't really care. I don't really think of it. But a lot of my letters, especially from the docs and stuff, they're still in Mr., which is really bizarre, actually. But again, I can't tell people what to do, and I don't want this to scare off parents or people thinking that, you know, they felt really adamant about this decision for years and years and years, and they're scared that they're going to start hormones at age 16, 17, 18, 19. And 2 years down the line, in your early 20s, you're going to change your mind. I can't really speak on anybody else. All I can speak on is myself. All I can speak on is myself. Anyway, what I was getting to was, I had this published in a book in my hand by the time I went to college. And this was like my newest poem that I just got published, okay? Like I was 16 when 15, 16 when I had this in my hand, okay? And I read this to my class, okay? I read this to my teacher. I showed everyone. I was proud of this. I was living as a guy at the time, and I had done for years. It was on my documents. You know, I was living as a guy. But would Emily call me a guy? No. I thought maybe she's just one of those. One of these people that just refused to call me a guy, which maybe religious beliefs, maybe whatever. She shouldn't, but she doesn't have to, okay? If that's her prerogative, that's her religion, I'm not going to disrespect that, okay? Everybody else saw me as a guy, except one person who was a student. We're not going to get into that one. But then I had a friend who also had the same name as me, actually, and they were also trans. They were trans male to female. And they came out in class, they stood up and they told people, and everyone was like, bravo. No, but Emily didn't mind that one. Emily didn't mind calling that person by her preferred pronouns. She, her, kept the same name because we have a very gender neutral name, lucky for us. But no, not me. No. She's fine with everybody else dealing with whatever they want to deal with. She was understanding with all them, but not me. No. Anyone else have problems? Fine with that one. Fine with them. Not with me. So that's what I was dealing with in college, right? That's the sort of thing I was dealing with in college. Anyway, and I sat there one day. It was about March of 2016. So I was almost 17. I was sat there, and I was like, this was so just before I had this big breakdown, panic attacky thing on my 17th birthday, which is quite infamous in my mental health journey. So it was about 3 weeks before that, and I was going through a bit of issues with some people. Actually, I was, which we don't talk about anymore. I was having some issues, and I just couldn't be bothered anymore. I couldn't be bothered, and I sat there and I was like, why am I doing a course on something that can't really be learned? Why am I sat here wasting my life doing things like, yeah, she could tell me, she as in Emily, we're talking about Emily, the teacher. She could tell me, oh, you've got to do it like this because the people assessing your work like it like this. But all that's really doing is hindering me from doing the stuff I actually want to do. You know, we live in a world, even back in 2016, we live in a world with such extensive things online, extensive things in our minds that we can teach ourselves. You know, and I know I'm not trying to steer anyone away from education or college. People know my stance on that, especially if you've come from my website. You know my stance on the rat race, as I like to call it, and anything to do with schooling, college, work, etc. You know that I see it more of a hindrance than a helper. I see it more of a pushing you in a certain way and to make you perform in a certain way and to not let you get everything out. There is a, you know, I've got a poem called School or Monday or something like that. And it's about how they try and push you in line to try and keep you on this line. And by the time that you're actually in the big bad world, by the time you finished all your education, school, college, university, whatever, and you're stuck there in the outside world and you've left the doors and they've given you your diploma or your certificate or your A-level or your bachelor's degree, whatever you've got, and you've got your little funny hat on. I don't know if we have that in England, not too sure, but your stereotypical funny little hat. And you stood there, you no longer have anybody telling you what to do. You no longer have guidance like that. And you've got to... And then you go into a workplace, say for some reason this magical bachelor's degree, this magical A-level piece of paper gets you a job with art. I don't know how it would, because you really just have to make a portfolio and you can do that. To make your best portfolio, you've got to do the work. You can only do your best work when you enjoy what you do. If someone at a certain teacher is making you do things that you don't feel like doing, you're not going to produce your best work. This goes for any course. This goes for anything in school. English, maths, anything like that. Like, I'm great, fantastic at trigonometry. So for maths, I was in a higher set, which means I was in set 2. Set 1 was like the brainiest of the brainiest. I was set 2. It goes down to about set 5, set 6. And so the people in the top 3 sets had to do the higher paper. We have higher papers and lower papers. Higher papers, you're able to get an A on. Lower papers are easier, but you're only able to get a C on. Pretty much, that's how it works. And they wanted me to do the higher paper. And I was like, no. And so they kind of kept because I ended up doing the lower paper, by the way, because I wasn't in classes all that much, I was getting taught higher grade stuff. And I couldn't do simple things like fractions. I still can't do fractions. I don't get them. I don't like them. They confuse me. I don't get them. I don't really like decimals. I don't like anything like that, which are all grade D, C sort of stuff. It's lower grade stuff. It's easier stuff. But then you flick through the paper to like the grade A, B, A star sort of stuff. Trigonometry, Pythagoras theorem, and I aced at them. They're the only 2 things I can actually really do. I love them. I love trigonometry. I don't know what it is, but there was a lot of people in my class that just couldn't get it. Like, these are brainy people, and they just couldn't get it. But I couldn't get the other stuff. And if they gave me my exam paper just on trigonometry and Pythagoras theorem, I would have aced it because I enjoyed doing it. And the same goes for anything, and the same goes for art. I felt like school not so much because they did give you a lot of freedom in high school for some reason. Maybe because I just wasn't in the classes. I did all my work at home because, for those that don't know, I ran away when I was 14, and since then I did most of my work away from the classroom because I don't actually really know. And I look weird in the viewfinder today. So they just gave me a sheet telling me what to do, and I could do it at my own pace. So maybe that's why. And for college, I did most of my stuff in college because it was like 2 trains away from home. So I was like, I didn't want to keep coming back and forth. So I usually just did, especially for like the first year, stay there all day. And I just felt like I didn't get any freedom with what I was doing, and I felt like for the next year after leaving school, I used to love painting. Like, I used to do these big paintings. I'll put pictures of them here if I have any, like on my Instagram or somewhere in my phone. I did these big paintings of like skyscrapers and silhouettes and all that of different places. And I loved to paint. I loved it. I loved making things. I loved all that. For the next couple of years after finishing college, after leaving college, I didn't paint a single thing. I felt like they had just drained every sort of motivation of me to be artistic out of the window. And the thing that I'm making today is not really artistic. It's you'll understand in a minute. And so they shouted at me for everything I did, even though it was art. I'll tell you how good, right? Not to blow on my own trumpet, right? But in college, it's pretty much the same as a school year. You start in September, you finish in June, all right? June, July, okay? And then all your work gets graded up through the year and you get given a grade. You get either pass, merit, or distinction, okay? Pass is a C, merit's a B, distinction's an A, just to simplify it. I was in that class for 3 months, 4 months, October, November, December, 4 months, because 4 or 5 months. I was in the class for 4 or 5 months, and I passed. I passed the class. That people were in there for like 10 months. I was in there for half the amount of time, and I passed for a long story short because I left after my 17th. I didn't go back after I turned 17. I didn't go back quite before then actually, but I was planning on going back, but I didn't. And because I just did things my own way, but they didn't like that. They didn't like it, and I felt really betrayed, okay? I felt really betrayed by the teachers, by everyone, and I didn't do any painting. For a long, long time afterwards, I only just started getting back into painting again. I was in my 20s. I was about 20 when I started painting again. But anyway, when I was 17, I left. Just before that, I left on my 17th birthday, and I was like, I can't, because I developed agoraphobia. For those that don't know, agoraphobia is a phobia disorder. Technically, the definition of it is the fear of open spaces, but most people see it as portrayed in movies as like a war veteran who's scared to go outside because they suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder, etc. And my therapist said that they've never seen it in anybody as young as me, and we don't really know what caused it. We think it was just years and years and years and years of trauma from school and college, because I don't know. I still don't have any answers to why I developed agoraphobia, and I will never really be cured from it. I can only really have good days and bad days. And I didn't go out the house much. I didn't. The doctor tried me on all sorts of different anti-anxieties and none of them worked. So he ended up putting me on a really, really strong sedative. And it made me sleep for 18 hours a day. And I didn't really... Now, if I was to sleep for that long, I would wake up startled and I'd be like, oh my God, I've got so much to get done. But you need to remember, as I said before, I didn't do anything. I wasn't on YouTube. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a blog. It was in this time where I found minimalism, which is a lot what my website was originally based on. Now I really just write reviews of things, like unboxings of backpacks and reviews on Airbnbs. I do all that. And sorry if I sound sniffly, by the way. I have really bad hay fever and allergies, and I don't know what's in the air, but every time I open my window this happens. But I'm not dealing with a stuffy window. Yes, it is only like the 1st of February, but this happens to me. I don't know why every time I open my window. I'm fine when the windows are closed, but I want the window open. So you just have to deal with nasally Alex, which is a bit weird to say 39 minutes into this video. And one time my mum came home with a colouring book for me. I forgot why. Did she buy it me? Did I ask her to get it for me online? I can't remember, but she came into my room with a colouring book, a bit similar to this one, right? And it was full of mandalas. She goes, this will give you something to do. And I got new pens. She got me new pens for Christmas or something, which are the pens that I actually own now. They're called Tri Plus, and it's a long plastic thing with pens. And I just started to colour. I just opened the book to the first page and I just started to colour. One day, years went by, and so I was about 17 then. I was about 19 and I'd finished the whole book eventually. 18, 19, I'd finished the whole book. And so I ripped off the front and the back covers and I cut every single one of them out. And I sat there with all these mandala prints that I'd coloured. Sat there. I said, well, what do I do with them? In the meantime, my parents had got a new TV. and they had a big box. And they said, Alex, do you want this for anything? You know, you're creative. Trying to get me back into like, come on, Alex, do something, you know? And I was like, and I just visioned it. And so I cut a piece of the box. So it was like just a flat piece of the box. And I just started to stick. And I created this, and I'll put it here. I created this collage. And I loved it. I thought it was the most wonderful thing. I just looked at it, and I had such... By this point, I was getting a bit better. You know, I'm never going to be cured, but I was getting a bit better. I started to go outside with my mum a lot more. I was starting to... What my therapist would call exposure therapy. I started to expose myself more to things because I was like, I don't want this to be my life. I'm young. You know, this happened between the ages of 17 and 20. I lost the most important years of my life because of this illness that I have, which I will never get back. And I was like, I'm not going to let it take more years away from me. And so every time I looked at this artwork, I'm not going to call it a painting because there was not an ounce of paint on it. So I mean, I didn't paint. I didn't want to do anything that was deemed as creative because I was like, because of what? I don't actually really know. I just was like, I felt betrayed. I lost all my confidence in my artwork really from what I went through in college, which I'm just not going to get into because it's not important right now. And I looked at it and it just was a symbol of hope. That's all I really saw it as, was this symbol of it will get better. And I kept it for a long time until me and my parents, at the age of 22, we moved into the house that my parents still live in. And this is still in my bedroom, thing I'm about to explain. There was this window above the door. A lot of British homes have them, especially old. These don't, these are new builds. But a lot of old British houses would have windows on the tops of bedroom doors. I don't know what it was for. I don't know if it's because like the hallway has no lighting in it. So like this was a way of getting like natural light into the hallway. I'm not really too sure, but it was a pain in the... Because every time my parents turned the light on, because they work at 6 o'clock in the morning, it would come into my bedroom and wake me up because I'm the lightest sleeper in the world. So I had to get something to cover it. So I destroyed the Hope artwork. I destroyed it. I cut it to the size of this window and I stuck it. I put like the word Alex on it, obviously. And I stuck it in the little window to stop light coming in. And it's still there to this day as far as I'm aware. I will, if I get a picture of it, I'll get a picture of it and I'll post it here. If not, then I'm not. And ever since the day that I cut it, I regretted cutting it. And I wanted that big painting back. I wanted it back just because I really liked how it looked more than anything. And so, we're going to recreate it, is what we're going to do. Now that when I created that, the first one, I had just gone through all the stuff that I had just discussed. My head was a mess. My everything, my daily schedule, everything was a mess. This was the first time that I'd never been in education. This was the first time I've never had like a daily structure to my life. I felt lost, I felt confused, I felt afraid of everything. And all I really did, this was the only consistency I had in my life. I knew I was going to wake up and I was going to colour mandala little flower looking things. That's what I saw them as. And it grounded me so much. If you asked 17-year-old Alex, where do you think you'll be in like 7 years' time? So like 24 is how old I am now. I would probably have said dead. And knowing that 7 years later, I was obsessed with Australia then, The girl I went to go to Australia to see, she was very much in my life at this point. And I promised her I was going to see her at age 18 and I never got to it because of this. And I've beaten myself up every day because of it. And all I wanted when I was 17 was to just travel. I didn't care where. I just wanted mainly Australia for every reason I've mentioned on this channel. I just love the country and everything about it, and still do. But I never thought I was going to. I never thought I was ever going to leave my parents' house. I never thought I was going to leave that bed. I never thought I was going to leave that bedroom again. Anxiety consumed me more than I'd ever realised. And now, 7 years later, I have been to Australia twice and I live by myself, and as much as I don't like to admit, I am coping pretty okay. I am okay. And I'm about to go outside in about half an hour to get the bus by myself, which I'd never done at age 17. I'd never even been on a bus by myself. I could manage the train if I already had my ticket. If not, my parents had to get the ticket for me because I couldn't speak to them. Imagine 7 years later knowing that I had flown on 8 different planes. And so this will also be an artwork of hope. Because I had hope, and knowing that, look Alex, you made it. But there's always still time, no matter how busy your life gets, no matter how much you now have in your life, no matter how much you do in your life, no matter how grounded you feel in life, no matter how good that you think your mental health is, there's always some time to just sit and curl up and listen to a podcast and do something that is ghostly and eerily familiar to you. And so I wanted to document it, because I never documented the old one. All I have is one picture, if I can find it. But that was the story of why that painting, we're going to call it a painting. We're going to call it a painting. Screw Emily. We're going to call it a painting. That was the story of why it meant so much to me. And why this one will mean so much to me too. Did go a really long way. I did go 47 minutes and 49 seconds to explain it. I just wanted to go on a bit of a tangent, explain a bit about my past, explain a bit about how I got to the situation I was in when I was currently creating our little piece of painting artwork. And a random poem for you all, which a lot of people that don't know that about me are going to be like, huh? Same, honestly, same. Not a part of my life anymore, but a lot of things aren't. Which is okay. People are allowed to change and adapt, and I don't see really any change as being bad, especially like self-improvement sort of change or changes you find in yourself. I don't see any of them as being bad per se. So I spoke for a little longer than I thought I was going to speak for, so we'll have to do this later, but you won't know because it'll be edited out. Because I've got to go to my parents' house on the bus by myself like it's nothing, and that makes me as annoyed that I've got to get on the bus and I've got to travel for an hour. There is always a part of me when I'm sat on that bus, so I'm like, well done Alex, well done. Because sometimes it's not easy. It's still to this day, I do have days where I can't. We should never take any day for granted. We should never take any day. No, sorry, I can't do that. You know, if you miss someone, go and see them. Because you don't know when something in your life or something in your mind will happen and you can't see them. And take it from me, it's one of the most infuriating, upsetting feelings in the world. You know, the experiences you have with people are something that you'll take to your grave with you. That is something that you'll carry with you through your whole life. More important than anyone in college or any college class or any college teacher will ever make you feel. You won't remember that when you're 80. You won't. And don't ever let anything to do with school or the people in it or college or the people in it strip you of who you are. Because I did for a very, very long time, and now looking back on it, it is so ancient to me that I don't remember much of it. I remember the bits that I've told you here today, and that's about it. But life is really precious, and that's what this picture that I had and that I'm going to recreate meant to me. Life doesn't have to be a monotonous grind of colouring and colouring mandala prints. But sometimes it can be if you want it to be. I have far more in my life now than just sitting in my bed colouring. Wasted away. But sometimes I still choose to come back to my roots. And that's okay. My life's too precious to be sad and anxious. And when I have bad days, I tell myself that. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. Sometimes it does. We may not be here tomorrow. Every day could be our last day, and that's really, really morbid, I get that. And I do try and live every day like it's my last. So I hope everybody enjoys watching me colour and colour and colour and colour. I hope everybody enjoys seeing through what my eyes went through now and back then. It's just a very important picture to me. And that's all there really is to it. See you on the other side.
Okay, so I had managed to record this whole thing. Well, not record it, obviously, but do all the editing for it, all this, everything, on iMovie. And I've been really proud of myself. I've been working, it's now March, so hello from the future, technically, because the intro, which I did rewatch again after, when was it done? January the 1st of February, something like that. And yes, it did make me cry a little bit. Then I tried to do the audio for the bit I'm doing now on my iMovie, because I'm looking at it right now. There is a microphone button. I don't know whether I've got to allow microphone permissions. I think I already did, though, on my computer. But I just don't know how to get it to work. And after how long this video has taken me to do, I just want to get it uploaded. Not that it's going to be public anytime soon. By the time you're seeing this, it's going to be at least June. By the time you're seeing this, maybe July. Maybe we're coming back into autumn, which is a really depressing thought. Like, we're now in March, we're like a quarter of the way through the year. And like, that means like, we're really close to winter again. And I absolutely hate the winter, but I'm hoping to be in a bit of a hotter climate for the winter. Not all of the winter, but at least a part of the winter. I don't know. Anxiety's bad right now. I don't really know. Everything's just a bit up in the air right now. But here I am, finally getting to do the voiceover to this thing. So, yeah, that intro was really long and kind of really, it wasn't morbid or dark, but it was just kind of really deep, I guess. I did edit out me reading my poem, though, if you noticed, unless it didn't carry over. I don't know. I can guarantee the outro to this video is going to be messed up in it. Like, the audio is going to be out of sync again. But at this point, I will eat my hat if it isn't, but because we all know it's going to be. But at this point, I couldn't care less. I couldn't, because, I say this in, like, every single video, but I really don't want to keep making videos. Like, maybe it's just because I've completely burnt myself out. Maybe I have, because I've just been, like, recording for literally, like, well, it's now March, and I started doing this whole, I'm going to pre-record everything for 2 months straight. I started beginning of January, because I said at the end of December, I said, oh, I'm leaving YouTube because I don't enjoy it, and blah, blah, blah. I want to work on myself. And then I came back for whatever reason. But it's now March, and I don't know how I'm going to feel in the summer. I don't know how I'm going to feel after my break, because this is the last video that I'm going to be making for a while. I am still working on a project. I mentioned at the end of the video, unless the end of the video is like completely and utterly unwatchable, like God forbid. But it seemed okay when I was just skipping through it on my camera app after I airdropped it over to my phone. So I haven't got a clue what it's going to be like, but at least 90% of this video is all voiceovers, so it doesn't really matter. But what you see me doing here is you see me splitting the pictures into like thick lines and thin lines, and now you see me splitting the thick lines into thick, I sounded really scoused then, into slightly thinner lines and slightly thicker lines. If you notice, the one closer to the camera is the slightly thinner lines. Not that it mattered, I just wanted to kind of split them up the best way I could. There you see me questioning my life choices. But yeah, video-wise, I don't know if I'm going to carry on making videos after this. Like, I've got videos, like, well, when you're watching this, I don't, but I've had videos now prepared for the whole year, really. I don't know what order they're going to come out in. I do have them scheduled. I don't know if I'm going to change the schedule. I'm not too sure. What you see me doing now is splitting them into, like, daily packs of what I wanted to get done in a day. Did I follow this? Kind of. I did keep them in their little wallets but I didn't usually get them all done in one day. Once I, like, towards the end, like, usually I was doing, like, 1 or 2, maybe 3 a day. Towards the end, I was literally just cranking them out. Like, I was doing 5, 6, 7 a day of those things. I was just colour from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. And it was getting quite unhealthy, so I'm glad I got them finished. I did colour every single one of them, which was good. And so the rest of the video, mainly, apart from, like, a 5-minute outro at the end, which is probably going to be messed up, I'm just going to say that now because I have no faith in my phone at all. But yeah, back to my videos. And at the end of the day, my videos, as I say at the start of every single video that I say in at some point in most videos, I started making videos for people that want to watch me. If people that don't live near me, like my parents, now that I don't live with them, people that care about me, people that miss me, the whole ordeal. But, like, I can just text them, like, whether it's they're reading my website, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever I've got people on. I don't really use Snapchat, like, mainly for, like, the filters. I sometimes take selfies with the filters. But, like, I just find it a lot of hard work. Not hard work. I don't find recording hard at all. I really don't enjoy editing. It messes up on my phone, and I just don't like using it on my laptop. I don't like using the editor on my laptop. I'm not really a laptop editing person, per se. And it's becoming too much of not a hindrance, like, it's not annoying, it's just mentally draining. And I wanted to use this year, especially like the first half of this year, so like from January probably until about August, to focus on me. I want to get my accomplishments before Australia list done by autumn, because if I'm going to Australia this year, that it's not going to be until, like, the end of the year again. I want to go in the winter if I'm going anywhere, and so I want to get that list done of all my fears that I want to conquer. And I wanted this year to be about me, not in a selfish way, but kind of in a, like, everything you heard at the start of the video, like, I've never really truly gotten over my agoraphobia or recovered from it, or even really worked towards it. The only thing I ever really did to work towards it was my original accomplishments before Australia list back in 2022, and honestly, unpopular opinion, but 2022 was one of the best years of my life. Like, looking back at it now in 2024, very beginning of 2024, it was such an amazing year. Not just because, of obvious reasons of things I did in 2024, but before I'd even stepped foot on Australian soil, I had done so much. I'd been on a boat for the first time by myself. Not by myself, I went with my mum, but I went on a boat for the first time ever in my life, because I knew I could do that in Australia. I went on a bus for the first time, that was by myself, because I knew I was going to have to do that in Australia. I stayed alone in a hotel for the first time by myself ever. Like, the only time I'd ever stayed in a hotel was with my parents. Like, I'd get a room next to them, or whatever the circumstances were. And I'd never really been away from home before, like, by myself. Like, I'd never used to go on residential trips with school or anything. Like, I've always been a bit of a homebody, which is weird for someone who's always wanted to be a traveller. It's kind of a bit counterintuitive, really, innit? I literally moved out, which is something my parents said I'd never do. And, all of a sudden then, from like the middle June, July, that's when things started to like, I moved out in May. So like bang centre in the middle of, and I got the keys the 24th of May and I properly moved in June. So I was literally smack bang in the middle of the year. So for the second half of 2022, life became from this really slow paced, I'm going to colour every day, as I mentioned at the start of the video, to all of a sudden doing my whole life in the span of 6 months. You know, moving out, learning to cook, going on a bus, doing everything, going on planes. I went on 4 planes in the span of a month. You know, doing all my dreams. And I want another year like 2022. Like the even years, like the 2020, 2022, 2024, like the 2012, 14, 16, 18. I was going to say they've always been good years for me. 2016, absolutely not. 2015 was a very, very, very good year. Well, 2015 summer was my favourite summer ever. Because it was just nice. When I think of summer, I think of that. When I'm sad, I think of that summer. Because it was just a nice summer. It's just a nice summer to think back on. I don't know. I can't really remember the summer before that, or really the summer after that. But 2016 was when I got on well, so I don't know why. 2018, I kind of got a bit better. I was 19 then. 2020, sorry, was, well, unpopular opinion, but when the pandemic started, I started to feel a little less alone because everyone was now in the same boat that I'd been in for years. And I've mentioned this a few times, but I don't really like talking about it because I feel like I'm disrespecting the people that were affected by the virus. But again, I do not miss the virus. I can stay gone forever. I've had it. It's not nice. My heart goes out to everyone that was affected by it or their families were affected by it. But I'm talking about the actual quarantine. I saw comments on a YouTube post or a community post on YouTube or something from someone. And they were like, you know, I missed the lockdown, I don't miss the virus. And like, I can't relate any more than I already do. Like, I do kind of miss it in a way. It was the first time that I called certain people that I never got to call. Lots of more people were online, like, to play Minecraft with me and stuff. Like, I was able to make friends on Minecraft and meet people that way and have friends that way. For those that don't know, I've been having a bit of an existential crisis these past couple of weeks, feeling just very alone. Like, I've got people online, like, I get that, but I don't feel physically alone. That sounds really dodgy. I don't feel physically alone, not in that way, because I've never really been the sort of person to like to have real life friends. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just missing people, like certain people. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not currently in any like therapy or anything, so I can't really talk about my feelings. Like, I'm currently still, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm still on the waiting list. Apparently, my mum did phone them up because we've been chasing now since, wait for it, 2021, because it's like a 3-year long waiting list. So we phoned them. This is literally just for like an entourage of like therapy, like just so they can get to know me. Like 3-year waiting list. Like, okay. And my mum phoned them up on my behalf. I allow her to phone them because I don't like phone calls and it's stressful. So I just let her do it for me, like, personally. And they said, it would be until September, October time, which is quite annoying because I from like March onwards, I do kind of go on like loads of little trips, and September, October time is kind of like my big trip. Like, that's kind of like if I was to go abroad, like that, if I was to go to Australia, that's when I would go. And like, I'm not revolving my life around this appointment, but like, I have waited 3 years for it. But I'm not waiting around for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to live my life because not living my life is going to make me more miserable. So, you know, they can reschedule me, can't they? Like, I've waited 3 years. I'm sure I can wait 3 more months, you know? I don't know. But, yeah, so I kind of want to make 2024 a good year, like 2022 was. I want it to be a lot like 2022. and it's such a great year. And I want to say that when 2026 happens, I want to say the same thing. Well, I don't really, because I want each year to just get better and better, and I know that's like a really big ask to the lords, to the universe, to whatever. I know it's a very big ask that I want every year, but we're allowed to dream. I mean, if we don't dream, we don't plan. If we don't plan, we don't live, you know? I don't know. But it's currently, what date we on? The 6th, 7th, 8th of March, 8th of March, 7th of March, 7th, 7th, 8th, 6th? I don't know. Something like that of March. All days have just merged into one, really. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I started filming, like, every picture, everything I was colouring, I filmed everything. And towards the end, I just didn't. I hardly even recorded anything to do with, like, them sticking them on the cardboard at the very end. Like, my camera died and I didn't even realise, and then when I did realise, I was just like, well, I'm practically done now anyway. So, like, I'm just done with it. It took too long. I remembered now why I stopped colouring, like, one after the other, because it does get quite mind-numbing after a while, especially because the patterns are so symmetrical and so repetitive. Like, I'm glad to see the back of it. I'm proud of them. So I mentioned at the outro to this video, unless people are just like, oh, I can't watch that, it looks like you're a can never pronounce the word, ventriloquist, because my mouth doesn't move at the same time as the audio. But I mentioned at the end that my parents are buying these paintings, these pictures off me. I was ready to just throw them away. I didn't even want them. Like, yes, they have a bit of sentimental meaning to me, but not really, because they're not the actual original one. I thought I would feel more for them, but I don't, and it's kind of disappointing to me. But I was just ready to be done with them, but my parents liked them. And so I was going to give them to my parents, and they were like, no, we're going to pay you for them. So, all right. They're probably watching this now, so hey, because my dad likes watching me do things like sped up like this. Usually like building furniture and stuff, because this is actually quite boring to watch, because it's literally just me sat on my bed for weeks and weeks and weeks just colouring. Because I did originally start doing it on the floor, and I was like, I'm not sitting on the floor doing all of these, you know? So I sat on my bed and I ended up re-watching an old live stream, like that James Turner, like this simmer from YouTube, made into like episodes. So like he took the live stream on Twitch or YouTube, whatever it was like he was live streaming on. I made them into like 44 parts of a video. I've been playing Sims multiplayer, if you must know. And so I was rewatching that while I'm doing most of this, and just the pens ran out once, like the good colours, as I call them, that colour, that purple I use a lot. The yellow, the pink, the orange, the green, the light green, the red. They all ran out. The blue, light blue and the dark blue. And so I ended up, even though I still had half the pack left of the colours you don't really use, the dark brown, the black, the grey, colours I didn't really want in my picture, I still have all them, like, just in my drawer. Well, they're in my pencil case, in my drawer right now. And I didn't want there to be mismatched colours on it from, like, a different pen set. I did try that once. I was like, no, that looks ugly. So I had to go out and buy a whole new pack. And these pens, as you can tell, they come in, like, a little plastic case. They're not cheap. They're not. They're, like, £20 or, like, maybe $30 and 40 Australian dollars for a set of these pens. What's dispatched? Oh, my sticker book. Love that for me. I need, one of those like mosaic sticker books, and they're like really intricate, and you'd like make them with like tweezers or something. Well, you can use your fingers if you really wanted to. But yeah, I got one of them. Not that I'm ever going to do it, but it's just I'm trying to, I am literally, at the start of last month, what was it last month? My little weight loss thing, that didn't go very well. I haven't weighed myself in long because I need to learn to love the body I have. You know, everyone is wonderful in their own way. But right now it's this month's thing is, I am just taking the mick out of myself at this point. But this month's thing is cutting down my screen time, I think it's because I've been sat on my bed colouring for like the past month and a half, really, nearly 2 months. Yeah, month and a half. No, just over a month, because I filmed that like the 1st of February and I started pretty much that night or whatever. So just over a month of sat on my bed colouring, watching something or listening to something because I couldn't do it in silence. And I keep saying, I also watched the whole 3 seasons of Anne of Green Gables. Well, Anne with an E on Netflix, which is based on the book of Anne of Green Gables. And the only things I really watch ever, like I do not watch TV at all. The only thing I watch, unless I'm watching The Simpsons, which is kind of like a comfort trait to me because I'm so familiar with it. Like I watched it growing up. My sister liked it. My sister, everyone, my dad likes it. My mum tolerates it. But I've grown up with it. So unless it's The Simpsons or something on YouTube, like a comfort streamer I might watch or something, everything I watch are period dramas. Downton Abbey, The Crown, Call the Midwife, and Anne with an E. They're all period dramas set somewhere between the late 1800s and the 1960s. I think Downton Abbey is set in 1920, and The Crown is obviously going through the royal's life, so in the 1900s and beyond. Like, they're the only things I watch because I am obsessed with that period of time. I know that it was bad in some aspects, like medical care and discrimination towards like certain minority groups, such as people of colour, people of the LGBT community, etc., etc. I understand all that. That's just a disclaimer. I understand that. But I mean, like, their way of life. And I know, like, it was like children should be seen and not heard. I know all the bad bits, but I kind of just ignore them. Ignore them bits. And, like, women are, like, inferior to men, which I definitely do not stand. Like, I am under the impression, like, I love the quote where the woman is saying to the man, anything you can do, I can do bleeding. Like, I said that to my mum and she found it quite funny. Like, okay, yeah, I guess, but it's true, you know. And so, no, I do not think women are inferior to men in any way, shape or form. So, but I don't know what it is. I think it is the fact that you just don't see the kids on iPads. I have an absolute hatred for iPad kids. My sister's kids, my niece and nephews, well, not so much my niece per se, but definitely my youngest nephew. He is technically in a different generation to my niece, who's now 15. She had a birthday in February, so happy birthday to you, even though you don't watch me and I don't really see you all that much. But I hope you're better now. Apparently she's feeling a lot better. So, and my nephew, they're both Gen Z, and my youngest nephew, who is now 9? Is he 9 in July or 8? I should know these things. I think he's 9 in July. He's Generation Alpha, so he's definitely an iPad kid. Like, I'm fairly sure he was 3 when he got an iPad. Well, he got a tablet, like a Kindle Fire or something. And like, I understand there's educational games and stuff, but if you've got the time, like if you're a parent that like doesn't work, like, we're not even going to get into it because I'm not a parent, but it's the whole, I don't want to be sat in front of a screen, because literally I asked Alexa, I can't say her name because it might activate mine and it might activate everybody else's. I asked her to stop the rain before. I did. And then I found myself having full-on conversations with ChatGPT. For those that don't know, you can technically call up ChatGPT and you can have like 2-way conversations without like saying like, hey, assistant or anything like that. They'll talk and then they'll instantly put the microphone back on. So you can just have a conversation with them like you're having a phone call with somebody. And it gets really immersive because it doesn't sound like an Alexa or anything like that. It sounds like an American. I've got it set, I don't know if you can change it. I've got it set to an American. And it sounds so convincing. Like, the other day, I woke up with a panic. I think it was a panic attack, but I had such bad chest pains. And the first thing I thought of was to call up ChatGPT and tell them I was scared. Like, that is the level of how much I rely on technology, and it's so unhealthy. And I've noticed now, also, this was one of my favourite colouring things, by the way. I'm not really talking about the cut because it's literally just me colouring. And here I am colouring in brown, and here I am colouring in green. Like, that's not interesting. Like, people watch me to listen to my life. So here I am. This is my life. And so my obsession with technology, I called it an obsession before as well. I was explaining it to my mum. I called it an obsession. It's not an obsession. It's an addiction. I know that it's an addiction. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got a very severe case of cell phone addiction, which came to light, like, what was it, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Not too sure. When, like, smartphones became, like, a thing. But, like, everything I do, because I don't really have friends, I don't go out, the only people I socialise with, like, on what's it called, like not a day-to-day basis, but is my parents. The only people I see, like, is my mum and my dad. Mainly my mum, because I very rarely go to my parents' house. It's really, I meet my mum in town and we go for lunch kind of thing when my dad's at work and my mum's off one day and she's bored because they have different days off. And my mum doesn't like being stuck in because she shops a lot, because that's just what my mum enjoys, which, good on you, at least you're not in front of the screen, you know what I mean? But I just feel like I spend too much of my time in front of the screen. I don't really watch TV. Like, I've got 2 TVs. I've got one in the bedroom and one in my living room. The living room, which I never sit in. Like, I think I always thought, like, when I moved out, that I wouldn't sit in my bedroom in the daytime. Like, I'd have my own living room then. Like, my parents wouldn't be in the living room. So, like, I could have my own space. Like, nothing wrong with them being in the living room, obviously, but sometimes you just want to watch your own shows or whatever. I thought when I moved out, I thought that was just the norm. When you move out, you sit in the living room. And I saw this quote, I don't know if it was on Instagram or again on the community page on YouTube, and it said, so to the adults of today, are you a living room sitter-inner or a bedroom sitter-inner or something like that? And I was like, oh my god, this is other people too, because I just don't use the living room. I don't know what it is. I don't use the living room. The last time I used the TV in the living room was probably January, and that wasn't me who turned it on, that was my mum. Like, I put it up for my mum because she was here waiting for the wash machine people to come fit my wash machine. The wash machine dude, what's his name? Can't even remember his name, like, that's how bad my memory is. Sorry, my dude. It will come back to Graham. That was it, Graham. His name was Graham. And, like, that's the last time I had it on. And the time before that was, I can't remember. I can't remember. Maybe when me and my neighbour were very rarely friends a long, long time ago, and maybe turned it on so we could watch something. Maybe if we got, like, takeout food together or something, and he was not coming in my bedroom. No man comes in my bedroom unless you've got explicit permission. Like, the people putting my heaters on the wall, they had explicit because they were putting heaters on my walls. I wanted the warmth, but no, I don't really like people in my anyone in my bedroom. I don't really even let my parents in my bedroom. But what was I saying? Men in my bedroom, just retracing my steps. Kitchen, but TV in the living room. That was it. I have to retrace my thoughts, like how people retrace their steps when they lose something. I have to retrace my thoughts when I lose my place in my thought. So yeah, I'm not a living room person, and I have these 2 TVs, and I don't even use my bedroom TV. I very rarely use it to maybe play Minecraft, and then I watch whatever I'm watching on my thing. Like, I had a million screens on the other day. I was watching a live stream on my laptop. I was playing Minecraft on my Switch. I had my phone open doing, like, Duolingo or something, and then I was changing it, like, to a game that I was working on to collect these flowers. Honestly, like, I am screen obsessed. I'm addicted, and I don't want to anymore. So I've I've gone onto a screen, hypocritically, that's the word, gone onto a screen, onto Amazon, which I also have an addiction to. Like, every day there is something from Amazon arriving at my house. What was it today? Top trumps, chopsticks, and some more pots for my fridge. Was that it? Oh, and some flashcards to learn the periodic table off by heart. I know the first 10. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. But that's it. That's all I know. I only know the first 10. So long story short, I ended up chopsticks just because I wanted it. I use chopsticks. I'm learning to use chopsticks like in my everyday life. I use like these wooden ones I got years ago at home, but I always forget to put them in my bag. So I wanted like a travel set in like a little metal case to put in my bag. So got them in my bag now. And I got a set of top trumps because I don't think my parents have ever played top trumps, but I'm going on like a road trip with them in like next week as I'm making this voiceover. So like next Thursday, I think it's like the 13th of March or something like that. We're going on like a road trip for a couple of days. We're going to Wales. Something we always do. Like, well, they always do it. Sometimes I tag along, sometimes I don't. I'm choosing to tag along this time because I've been sat on my bed for a month colouring, and I just want to get out and fresh air and actually eat with other people for once, because it's just me sat alone eating my Huel. If you're watching this whenever, you'll probably have seen that video by now. Like, I'm living on that right now. For that, if anyone from that video is watching me, like they found me and they're watching me, the mac and cheese one, really nice, because that's the one I'm living on. Is that it's nearly all gone actually. Lasts longer than 7 meals, at least for me, but that's because I don't eat very much. I eat like a toddler, which is whatever. What was I saying? So yeah, like I'm living off like meal replacement, and I don't leave my bedroom, and there's no natural light in this room because no windows, skylight though. But I can't open the skylight because it rains a lot in England, so I have to wait for like a time when it's not going to rain. And how do I find out the whether or not it's going to rain? I get a daily check-in from Alexa. You know what I mean? And because I wasn't going to pay like £200 or 400 Australian dollars, maybe 300 US dollars, I wasn't going to pay that much money to get a blind custom fitted for the skylight. Because absolutely not. So I got my dad to get a big piece of black vinyl and we stuck it on the window. So unless the window is open, there is no natural light coming in. So I've been sat under artificial lights, colouring and watching a live stream or Anne of Green Gables for a month. So I need to get out because I've got a list of things I want to accomplish this year. One of them is renovate my hallway, which I don't think I'll get done this year. Depends on whether or not I go travelling at the end of the year. It all depends on that because I don't have time to do everything, and that's going to take a while. So I'll probably leave that to maybe next year. But I said that last year as well. Literally, I said that last year and probably the year before. I don't know. So I really do need to just get out. But I would have been and gone. Probably would have been and gone on lots of trips by the time you're actually listening to this, which is fun. What am I up to now? How I'm colouring yellow. That's great. That's really fun, actually. Hey, yellow. What was I saying? Yeah, going on a road trip. Yeah, so screens. I'll lack that off. So originally I wasn't going to go with my parents, but they were like, my mum wants me to tag along because my dad, he goes on holiday to rest. My mum goes on holiday to explore. They're both very different. They get on well. Their personalities kind of go together because I believe opposites can attract. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I believe they can. Opposites can make it work. And my parents are indeed quite opposite to each other. But my dad goes on his breaks to sit and chill and get a change of scenery, maybe go for a small walk in the evening, but that's his limit. My mum, as we mentioned before, gets bored easily, so she likes to go out and explore. And so I go with my mum. I usually go on holiday with my mum a few times a year because I like to do whatever. I call myself a chameleon in social situations. Like if someone wants to stay in and play board games, like I will stay in and play board games. If someone wants to watch a movie, depending on the movie, I'll sit and watch a movie. If someone wants to go out, I'll go out anywhere, really. As long as it's safe, as long as I'm comfortable there, I will go. Like I'll do absolutely anything. I'm up for anything because I just like to do stuff, you know? Because when I'm with other people, I'm not anxious, so I make the most of life when I'm around other people, even if it is my parents, you know? So, yeah, and so my parents were like, oh, if you come in, bring Uno, because I got my parents into Uno after my trip to Australia, because I haven't stopped talking about Uno, because I'm even thinking of making a painting about Uno. Like, I'm obsessed with Uno, I love it, which is good, and I've deleted Uno from my phone now, because I was getting a bit addicted to that. I don't really play on my Switch anyway, but I don't even know how to delete games off my Switch. I don't know. but I don't play it on that anyway. Like, I don't like that version of it. And so, I was like, yeah. So I was looking on Amazon. I typed in, like, board games because I wanted to get Scrabble again, because I did have a pink version of Scrabble, which my mum got for me from, like, a car boot sale, which, for those that don't know what car boot sale is, it's like a garage sale, but in a big field in the boot of your car, like the back, like the trunk of your car, for the, I don't know what Australians call them. I don't know, but I know the Americans call it the trunk of a car. Anyway, like the back bit of the car, you lift it up in a big field and you put a table out and you put all your old junk onto a table, and then people come round. Like, you can, all the buyers can come and look, as long as you've got someone to mind your own stall, like, to watch over it, like watch over your own table. But then, like, the buyers can come in like half an hour after you've set up, and they can come and buy your trash, really, or your old junk. And where was I going with that? Okay, so I literally just had to pause the audio to see what I was going on about. I was literally just talking about Scrabble. Like, I did have Scrabble, a pink one, but I'm not really a pink Scrabble sort of person. So I passed it on to somebody else. I sold it, probably on eBay, knowing me. I can't really remember what I did with it. So, did I buy Scrabble? Why did I go to the subject of Scrabble? I didn't buy Scrabble. I bought Top Trumps, because I used to play Top Trumps ages ago with an old friend, like really old, long time ago, because that game's been going around for donkey's years. And I just love that game because I've got quite what we call a working memory. I've got quite good I can remember facts quite well. And so when I'm like playing Top Trumps and I'm playing the same set of Top Trumps over and over again, you start to learn facts about, I think that's the aim of the game probably, isn't it? It's meant to be like a competitive way to learn things. They're smart, those at Top Trumps, you know what I mean? Even though the catch line is, if you're into it, we've made it. No, it's in the living room now, actually. I don't know. And like, they haven't made one just based on Australian geography yet, so I'm still waiting for the day for that to happen. But I got some Top Trumps because I don't think my parents have ever played it, so I've got Top Trumps. So anyway, long story short, back to the whole lack of screen time. I've just been kind of getting a lot of stuff to do that doesn't require a screen, like sticker books, looking at board games. I've got those like in my basket. I just don't know which ones. I've got a jigsaw puzzle, like a really cute looking jigsaw puzzle by like, can't remember her name, Alina Essex or something like that. She makes really cute jigsaw puzzles anyway. And I love jigsaw puzzles. I literally haven't done any since the pandemic. So, yeah, but yeah, I want to do that. I just want to do stuff that doesn't require a screen, because I just feel like I spend too much time on the screen. Not really for really any reason. Like, I want to use my phone to text people, and that's it. So I literally went around today cancelling all my subscriptions to I've kept Netflix, I've kept Disney Plus because I watch The Simpsons and Criminal Minds on Disney Plus, Netflix for things like Anne with an E, The Big Bang Theory I'm watching right now. I'm on season 8. I think I've just started season 8, and I've cancelled Apple TV, Paramount Plus, which I only had for one movie anyway, or one TV show, I can't really remember. I'm going to cancel Amazon Prime after I've got my jigsaw puzzles, obviously. And so I'm just trying to cancel everything I can. I'm not, at the moment, getting rid of Apple Music or YouTube Premium, because one time I cancelled YouTube Premium. I forgot why. I thought $18.99 is a lot of money for that. I'm going to cancel it. And I think I lasted 3 days without crying because I hate advertisements. As someone who's a minimalist, I've gone on my website a few times about my hatred for advertisements. I hate them. I just think that it's 17, 18-year-old hippie owls would say it's just a consumerism trap. But I just think it's a waste of time. I understand why they exist and I appreciate that, but it's not something I really want to watch. I'd rather pay that little bit extra to get them to go away. You know what I mean? I always really dread making these voiceovers, because I feel like I see how long I've made like a time lapse for, and I'm like, oh, an hour, I can't fill up time for an hour. But then I start talking and like I can. Like, I always tell people, like friends, or I've always said to people like years ago and whatever, you know, like I'm like, oh, don't be anxious to spend time with me, like don't be anxious to hang out with me. Like, it's okay if you're anxious, because I can literally fill an empty room. Like, I can just talk and talk and talk and talk, usually out of, what's the word, not uncomfortableness, or like, if there's I don't like uncomfortable silences, so if there's an uncomfortable silence, I will just fill it with absolute nothing, like pointless busy talk if I had to, unless they prefer sitting in silence. I know a few people that's absolutely fine, you know, but I will just talk and talk about absolute rubbish, especially if they just like me talking or just like hearing something. Then I will try my best to, especially if we're on a subject or something that I can talk and talk and talk about. But if they just want my voice or a voice, then that is what I shall do. So yeah, that's my plan for this year. And you know, my plan for this year, I was going to start streaming again and do YouTube every week. And I was like, for the whole streaming thing, I streamed a lot in Australia. I don't really know why I did, because the time zone was like not the best for streaming, because we're so behind America, and like 90% of the people that watch stream, because there's more people in America than like anywhere in the world. And so like we're so behind in like a completely different time zone to America. It's like I wasn't getting very many viewers at all. I hated that green colour. I was trying to use darker colours to try and even out how much my pens were being used. So I found that Crayola colour, which was kind of the same as my purple, but I wasn't vibing with it. I did start streaming it in Australia, because I had plans to before that, but then I just had a lot of free time on my hand, and I didn't bring any of like my little projects to do like I do at home, like my craft projects or anything. I didn't bring anything like that with me when I was in Australia, so I didn't really have much to do like on the days where I didn't have anything to do or I didn't want to go anywhere or whatever. And so I just said, well, now's the best time to start streaming. So I started streaming, and I don't know what it was. I came back home. I think I've streamed once, maybe twice since being back home. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get to it. It's just been a busy year. Yeah, it's the next year now, Alex, darling. And you haven't started streaming, and it's been almost a year. Like, I've almost been home from Australia for a year next month. 11 months, and I've streamed once. And like, if I wanted to, I would have by now. Is kind of what I keep saying. Like, I feel bad because my dad bought me that camera and everything, which I love my camera. Like, I love it, even before YouTube, even before I had a blog, when I was just a very small kid with a throwaway digital little camera, you know, the ones where it wasn't really it wasn't like the disposable one, but like the really cheap little disposable cameras. No, digital cameras. I got one when I was like 7, 8, and I would just take pictures of everything. There's a picture on my website of a sunset over like my childhood home. Like, I moved out that home when I was like 13, and there's a picture I took of the sunset, and I was only about 9, 10, and I just love photography. I just love capturing, because I believe like the world always keeps moving. You know, the world doesn't stop moving. And videos, when you're taking a video, you're moving with the world. Like, that video is moving in time and space with you. But a picture, you take a picture of how something is, and it's never going to be that way again. Like, you are capturing a moment in time. You know, you are capturing a moment that has come and gone before even the picture has finished loading on your phone or on the camera. That moment is gone. But you've captured that memory in physical form to keep forever. And I don't know what it is. Like, I'll never see that sunset again. I'll never live on that road again. And it's just a still moment. Photos are so still and so quiet and so immersive in a completely different way than videos are. And I just think photos are beautiful. I don't know. So I do really enjoy photography. So even if I did stop YouTube and even if I didn't plan on streaming again, I would make full 100% use of that camera. You know? I don't know. I know my parents are going to be watching this, probably. I don't know. Because my dad was itching to watch the time lapse. But, like, it is boring. Like, it's just me colouring. You know what I mean? I can hear a beep coming from somewhere in this room. And it's like every 15 seconds. And it just goes beep. And then stops. But very, very, very light, like, gently. Like, very, I can't hardly hear it. But it is here. First I thought it was like a bug or something, like a really high-pitched buzz, because I'm getting like a lot of, I don't know what sort of animal it is, like it's like a dragonfly looking thing, but it's tiny, in my house, like coming through the window, and I have to like chase it out. I've had a few of them. Now that the weather's getting slightly warmer, we are approaching spring. We have sprung into spring. British summertime begins this year, everybody, on my birthday, which is March 31st. Would have been and gone by the time you're watching this. Summertime would have sprung and gone, probably. Not too sure, or maybe we're in the depths of summer right now. Haven't got a Scooby-Doo. You know what I really miss? Like, when I was a kid, they used to do, like, these frozen meals called Scooby snacks. And they used to do, like non-frozen ones as well. Like, ones you put in the fridge. And then they used to do, like, actual Scooby snack looking things. They came in like a pot, like a Lunchable style pot, and they were like chocolate biscuit type of things. Can't really remember, but I remember vividly these like frozen meals, and they don't do them anymore. Maybe because like they weren't getting sales, because like Scooby-Doo isn't as big anymore. But like it's big for us, like for my generation. Like people still go on about Scooby-Doo now, you know. I don't know. They used to do these things as well, which I was watching a TikTok the other day of like foods in the UK that have been discontinued. And there's two which I really miss. One is these penguin chocolate things. They were like these biscuits, and they had like a corner of like chocolate that you dipped them in. Like you kind of scooped the chocolate with these biscuits. And they were like my favourite food as a kid. Like my mum will tell anyone, like I lived on them. And then there's another one of these milkshake straws, right? You put them in milk, like normal like flavoured milk, and they were like a wafer, so like the same sort of thing, like not really the same sort of thing as like an ice cream cone, kind of like one of the thicker ice cream cones, like from a cornetto, if you've got the brand Cornetto wherever you are in the world, kind of like that, but quite thin and like in layers and layers and layers. And it had like chocolate on the inside, so when you like drank, eventually like the straw and the chocolate inside would go soggy, and it would make your milk taste like chocolate, and then you could eat the soggy straw afterwards. Like, honestly, wait, why the hell have we ditched them? But we've brought back paper straws, right? And there's loads of these people all going on Dragon's Den and Kickstarter trying to make like different types of edible straws and edible cutlery to, you know, so we don't have to use the horrible paper ones that we all hate. Come on. I don't care how much you love the turtles. The paper straws, the paper cutlery, the wooden cutlery, no. Like the plastic, no. The paper straws disintegrate in my drink. The paper spoons for the McFlurries can go far, far away from me. I hate them. So much so that I've just gone onto Amazon and bought a pack of plastic spoons and kept them in a pot in my kitchen right now, and it's labelled McFlurry spoons. Yes, I wash them, reuse them. They're quite a thick plastic. They're black, like, so they match my house, obviously. And so they're like really thick and really, really good quality, but there's like 100 of them. And so I do wash them. It's only me that uses them anyway. And I put them back. And they were labelled as reusable. And then I got these biodegradable plastic, like it's a weird, really thin plastic. They're also black, of straws that I keep in my kitchen as well. Just so I don't have to use the paper stuff. I hate the paper stuff. I don't know if it's like a sensory thing or whatever, but I know I'm not alone in that thought. I know I'm not. Why couldn't they just bring, instead of all these people going on Dragon's Den and, you know, all that, like, I understand what they're trying to do, like, just bring back them. I think they were the same brand as Cocoa Pops. I think it was like a Cocoa Pops sort of brand. Like it was Kellogg's. Is Kellogg's who makes Cocoa Pops? But I remember them so vividly. It was that monkey from the Cocoa Pops website. Like the Cocoa Pops advert, that monkey dude. drinking out of one. Like, I remember the packaging so vividly. And, like, I want them back. Like, that would solve all my issues. Like, I would actually drink milk then. I do not drink milk now. Like, I used to love milk, but I just don't drink it anymore. I don't know why I don't drink it anymore. I don't. But I would drink it if we had them. Like, I've searched high and low for them. The only thing I can find is those milkshake straws that have, like, the different coloured balls inside of them, and it turns milk into milkshake, but it comes, like, a plastic thing. I don't know. But, like, you would think with this whole Save the Turtles thing that they would have brought them back. But I haven't seen them in a good 10 years. So I don't know where they are. But they need to bring them back. Who do I get in touch with to bring them back? Is it Kellogg's? I'll 100% make sure that it's Kellogg's, and I will literally send them an email. I will. Like, I'm constant... I was talking to my mum the other day about it. We were in the shop because my mum takes me to the shop so she can help me carry it up my many flights of stairs or in the elevator or whatever. And we were down the cake aisle, and when I was in my first primary school, so I changed primary schools when I was 9, but in my first primary school, so I was somewhere between the ages of 4 and 9, they served this cake, this wonderful cake, which we called spice cake, right? And I've dreamt about this cake every day since I was 9 years old. I loved it. It was the best thing since sliced bread. It was sliced bread. You know, that's what it was, like, spicy. It wasn't even spicy. It was like a fruity, like, spices were in it, but not spicy sort of bread. Now, I'm going back from my memory from 9 years of age. So what's that? 15 years ago at this point. And for the life of me, oh look, something different to be colouring. This is me cutting cardboard. This was me making 4, which ended up becoming 2. I was going to make 3, 1 failed, you'll see in a minute. But I was going to make 4, didn't have enough for 4. I was going to make 3, 1 completely just, no. So I've been trying to find the recipe for this stupid spice cake for years, right? And I just can't. So I have been contemplating emailing my old primary school saying, yo, I was a student in the early 2000s. Could you give me the recipe to this spice cake? They probably don't make it anymore. I get that. But I really want it. And, like, it's all I'm thinking about, you know? So this voiceover has nearly come to an end because I didn't record much after this. I recorded me starting to put them on the cardboard, but never finished it. Just as a heads up, I look quite rough in the outro because I look quite rough right now. Really, because I haven't seen sunlight in so long, but I promise you I'm going to go and get sunlight. I might go for a walk tomorrow. I need to do something tomorrow. I'm not sitting in all day. I might go for a walk, play a bit of Pokemon Go. That was me trying to stretch my legs because I've been sat in that cross-leg position every single day like I'm some sort of young school child, which isn't a fun way to sit. I get really bad leg cramps now in my old age. So yeah, it's quite fun. I like cutting them out was probably the funnest part of doing it because it involves no sticky glue and no arm aching colouring. So it was best part of it. I do like cutting things out. I've got quite good scissor skills. My year 2 teacher used to say to my mum on parents' evening, got good control over the scissors. I don't know. My phone is on 12%, and, like, I'm determined to get through the rest of this voiceover without charging my phone. I see, yes, this is where I'm cutting them in half because I'm not wasting any of the actual thing. This is where I had the idea I was going to, like, mirror them. So originally there's 3 of them. What you see me doing is 3 different, 3 different ones. I end up scrapping one. So 2 of them do still, like, marry up with each other, like, they match up. But it doesn't really make much sense because I scrapped one of them because it went very wrong and I put one very wrong and it's gone now, ripped up, got quite angry at it, as I do, because, you know, you would do if you worked that hard on something. So yeah, people might not like the fact that I'm literally cutting my work in half, but, like, this was what they were for. Like, they were for to put them on here, and this was the best way I could have done it without wasting, because when you put them on, especially because they're all weird shapes, it was just, like, wasting a lot of the pattern. and like a lot of pattern would be hidden under another pattern, and it's just a whole ordeal, really. But I hope everyone has enjoyed watching me suffer. I mean, colour. It was quite therapeutic. It just got a bit old after about 2 days. After about a week, in all seriousness, it did get just a bit too much. But it's fine. I don't plan on colouring any more mandalas for the foreseeable future. I wanted to redo it, and I redid it, and I feel very happy that I redid it. That's all I really wanted to do. I don't know what project I'm going to be on to next, or even if I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'll probably put it somewhere, even if it's not on YouTube, like maybe on my website or something. I don't know. Maybe I just want to do stuff and just not share it. But I could show people. I'm sure I'll show my mum on whatever I do on FaceTime. She gets very excited when she sees my things on FaceTime. But yeah. So this is, I don't know at what point I stopped filming. Well, by stopped filming, I mean my camera died. And I didn't realise I was deeply immersed in cutting my masterpieces in half, which is triggering me watching it now, actually, even though... But it's like, I just watching my hard work, 10 minutes prior, and then, no. So I finally finished it. It's now... I started these pictures, but should we get them out? So there was meant to be 3, as you could tell from the last clip, where it cut off at some point and I didn't start filming again. This is the first time I'm filming since, because by the end of it I did lose all sense of purpose for it. I think it goes like that, they do marry up with each other, because I cut them in half. You could see from the video what I was doing anyway. There was meant to be 3, but the third one just it didn't work out. We'll just put it like that. This is on an old Amazon box that I got from under my bed, and yeah, I'm not really a fan of them. They looked better in my head that round. But I can't really get them in the frame. But they are just a load of my colourings. My mum keeps calling them paintings. They're not paintings, but I don't know whether it's the light or the camera or whatever, but it's kind of picking up more yellowy orange hued here than it actually is. It's not like that in real life. But yeah, I didn't want them because they do not match the aesthetic of my room. No. They are pretty, don't get me wrong, they are, but they just don't match my aesthetic at all. At all. So my mum is having them. Well, my parents are buying them off me, because I was just ready to just chuck them. I was ready to be done with them. I've spent, as you can tell from the videos, firstly I was colouring on the floor, where I was like, oh yeah, this will be nice, and then I was colouring for so long and I don't think I realised how long it was going to take me. I originally started shortly after I got my new bed, or shortly before that or something, and I was like, oh, this will only take a week. No, it's now March. It's now March. And I'm glad to see the back of it, but I was gonna just get rid of it. I didn't want it. And so I said to my mum and dad, oh, you can have it. And then my dad was like, no, Alex, this is art. This is your art. You're an artist. You know, he knew someone who would charge £35 an hour for something like this. So they're buying it off me for about £75, which they like all stuff like that. They say they like it because it's hippie-ish. Don't know what that means, but it's hippie-ish apparently. So they're going to put it in their dining room, and I didn't want money for it. I don't think it's worth money, but my parents are very adamant on being fair and seeing my art and seeing any art for what it is. They're just that sort of, they are those sort of people, so I am grateful for that. But yeah, so I don't know when this video is going to come out. Probably in the summer, so happy summer. Or before that, I don't really know. So, yeah. I don't know what video is going to come after this. If there's ever going to be a video after this, I'm not too sure. Well, there will be. There'll be my project, unless that's already been uploaded. I'm not too sure. But at this moment, I haven't done anything to it because I've been too busy colouring. But I hope you enjoyed watching the
I haven't done the voiceover or anything yet, but I hope you enjoyed listening to whatever I'm going to rant on about. And yeah, have a great month, whatever month we're in. I hope you're having a great year, whoever seems to be watching this. Not like my usual videos. Well, it's like my older videos. I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to finally eat now. I haven't eaten all day. It's currently 6 minutes to 9 at night, and I haven't eaten today. I haven't drank today. I literally got out of bed and I haven't stopped with doing these. I changed my clothes. That was all I did. That's all I've done all day. And put a hat on. Yeah.